Hello again. Welcome to my channel, yada yada. If you've been tuning in so far to the previous podcasts, I think there's 3 of them now. Hopefully, you will have a better idea of what we're doing here and what we're talking about and how important it is. It's a Sunday morning down under, and I just wanted to take another opportunity to elaborate a little on one of the points of focus that I've brought up in the previous audio files, and that is Facebook. It's probably, the network everybody loves to hate, which is a bit bizarre. Usually, if we don't like something, we don't go there or we don't do it. So I wanted to talk about why so many people do, despite the fact that they will very quickly agree with any negative commentary on the network, but simultaneously refuse to delete their accounts. So, I'm going to call this audio file "Delete Facebook." It's not a new hashtag. And I think, that another aspect of why people are sort of quite apathetic when it comes to taking action, taking control of their own life back instead of giving it all over to Facebook, is because with a saturation of information online, important things have been trivialized. There's simply too much happening. There's simply too much drama online. There's too many tragedies. It's all a bit overwhelming. And when important things do need to be focused on, important information, it's very quickly dramatized into sensational media. Delete Facebook, it's this, that, and the other. And really, the focus of people who jump on those bandwagons is more about riding the hype than really ingesting the information and understanding what it really means. A similar thing happened with COVID, it was in China. And the usual crew, as far as I could see, that being the media and younger people, teenagers, jumping on the bandwagon to ride the train of sensationalism for attention. So it spread very quickly online first. And that's the reason we had a global epidemic, is because it went viral online first. Information is like a germ. When you share it and send it viral, it spreads very quickly. And whatever the mind takes in is processed and made reality. That's how powerful our minds are. But, I don't really want to get into a full-on debate about the logistics of COVID, but I think it's pretty much the same with Facebook. The network like that becomes popular because it's a germ. It goes viral. And suddenly everybody's there, but they don't really understand why. They have a vague idea, or, you can use this to stay in touch with family and friends, and post pictures of yourself where you've been, say what you've been doing, and as a really bizarre tangent, you can get your news there. Yes, a family-friendly network for staying in touch with family and friends, as is advertised on their homepage. But once you're in, well, you're exposed to a lot more than that. You have a lot more options. It's not really just about staying in touch with family and friends at all. So right off the bat, they're false advertising. Their TOS is a scam. It's misleading. and they should technically just be labelled a scam site and blacklisted, but fat chance of that happening when so many people have invested and there's a lot of money riding on it, and it's being used primarily by the United States to secure their preferred election candidate for president. So, when we have the rest of the world being absorbed into the American mainstream via a viral network that is just a germ, not dissimilar to Romper Room or Play School or any other kindergarten playground. We need to really look at that and understand what it means and how ridiculous it is, and that to be part of something like that is not beneficial. That when somebody is advertising something to you, that you can use it in this way or that way, that you understand that you are going to be exposed to information that you did not ask to see. So one of the first things about Facebook is the way that it's engineered. And unfortunately, the people that were employed to do this, I don't know how many of them have kids. I don't know how many of them really thought this through. But what they've done is they've made it so that you can have your family and friends there. Excuse me. You can subscribe to certain pages to access whatever other information you want outside of that. But the minute that you hit like on anything, it automatically shows up in the feeds of all the people who you're connected to. And that is very Clockwork Orange. It's forced viewing, and it is shoving information that those people did not ask to see and have not subscribed to into their face. It's how people become brainwashed and sort of subjugated to content that they really had no interest in to begin with, but suddenly develop one. A shocking instance of this is teenagers coming onto the network, all sweet and lovely and innocent 1 minute, and within a couple of weeks the boys are liking pictures of knives, pictures of guns, and a whole bunch of other things, which would probably shock their parents and themselves in 20 years when they look back at it. And how that happens is because one of their mates, liked a picture of a knife or a gun, and it showed up in their feed. And when you're dealing with peer-pressured, motivated people, they jump on a bandwagon very quickly and like things because everybody else is liking it. So then you get knives going viral. You get guns going viral. And this might sound like a bit of a wacky statement, but at the end of the day, you get mass shootings going viral. You get young teenagers like Nicholas Cruz, who was autistic to begin with, who, goes and does the unthinkable, not realizing that he's actually been fed that input. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in another video, but the control mechanisms within that engineering and how it wraps itself around the human brain implicates Facebook actually as being the network that killed those students at Marjory Stone Douglas, whatever the name of the school was, Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School in Florida. Mark Zuckerberg is the killer. It's very important to understand that. You can't give kids a mobile phone, which is a military device, wrap their heads with Wi-Fi, internal engineering and code, pump it into their brain, and blame them for picking up a gun and killing somebody. Now, I don't see that warning on the front page of Facebook. There is no warning for any of what's inside Facebook on the front page of Facebook. They're an extremely misleading scam network. I've seen people, intelligent people, become completely brainwashed. And it's very direct and it's very all-consuming. And the people who built this site have utterly no concept of the power of the human mind. And where they do get an inkling, they manipulate it, they exploit it. They cause addiction deliberately through the way they engineer the network. So, you're dealing with people whose concern for others is way, way, way down on the list of their priorities. So right from the outset, to claim that Facebook is a community-oriented network for human growth and development and progress and staying with your tribe and having access to information for everyone's collective good, that's an outrageous statement. They're not. And you can tell by the way they run the site. Everybody knows it. But for some reason, well, there's a few, you can say delete Facebook and people won't. So we need to look at why. And as I mentioned in a previous video, it's because they've been reprogrammed to not reject the network. They've been addicted to it. It fills them with all these sort of weird and wonderful sensations of feeling included in something, of feeling like their opinion's being heard, of feeling liked, loved. It satisfies narcissistic tendencies. I know what that's about. I love the sound of my own voice. I'm a singer by trade. I worked in television studios when I was growing up. I spent 25 years of my life on the stage, so I know that feeling of receiving approval and a sense of satisfaction for who you are and what you're giving to a bunch of strangers. Weird. It's kind of weird that we go there, but that's just the way it is in a predominantly godless society. If you're being raised on mass media, which is constantly teaching you false values, come ride with Satan. How obvious can it get? So the addiction with Facebook is compelling. It's all-consuming. It is highly addictive. But I guarantee if you delete it, you will forget about it within a week, which is a lot less of a grip than other people go through when they're withdrawing from drugs or cigarettes, alcoholism, things like this, substance abuse. Facebook's effect lingers for a little while, but once you experience having your own mind back, your own impetus to take charge of your own life and be enthusiastic about things again takes over, and Facebook fades into the background as it falls away, really, back down to hell where it came from. So, they're the first couple of points that I want to make about Facebook as a scam network, as the reason why things go viral, as a Clockwork Orange network, forced viewing, and the addiction aspect of how the site is built and what it exposes to people without you asking for it. And it can happen to people who think they're intelligent and aren't, and people who are intelligent and don't know it. The next minute they're all Facebook slaves, and they won't call you back because they're busy on Facebook. They don't have a friend anymore because they've got Facebook. Everybody knows that it's a network that claims to unite people but has actually divided us. We've become more insular, and I think that the reverberations of COVID really cemented in parallel what Facebook is. Stay at home, stay inside, don't go out, stick your face to your computer screen and your phone, just get food and pay attention to us. I mean, really, that in physical terms, that's what COVID was about. Inuring people to the internet, forcing businesses online, getting people to work from home. Not that I object to people working from home, but, in a lot of cases it would save half the traffic on the road, that's for sure. They bring out all this technology that enables people to work from home or work from anywhere, and still asking people to drive on the road to go into and sit into an office just because some idiot decided to rent it. So they build this technology, and then at the end of the day say, no, we can't use it for that. Oh, but can you do that now? Because there's a bit of a virus happening. And we don't know how viruses spread. We don't know where it came from or how it got where it did so quickly. We can't even see what's right in front of us. And these are the people who are telling us what to do. I mean, it's insulting. The anger that it generates in a community, I think, was really obvious. With using COVID as a parallel for Facebook and the protests that happened, the irony being that those same people out in the streets protesting COVID restrictions were strapped with smartphones and Facebook apps. Really? Protests in America, for whatever reason, those people are strapped with smartphones and Facebook apps and Twitter apps and Instagram so they can get attention. They are the most plugged in people in the world. It doesn't get worse than this. It literally does not and will not ever get worse than this. And it might be scary to you and confronting to you and embarrassing for you to realize that you are part of that, but it's the truth. And being part of a network like Facebook is dumb. Once you have the information and it makes sense to you, and I know that it does, to actually hate a network and say things like, yeah, but I hardly use it, well, then delete the account. Why are you still there? Why are you still there? You feel bad that maybe, you won't talk to this person anymore or that person anymore. Well, then shoot them an email and give them your phone number and your home address. Let them write you a letter. You'll very quickly see how much these people actually factor into your real everyday life, if they ever did, which most of them don't. So, we have all kinds of reasons, all kinds of ways to escape. And if we're escaping into a realm, an online realm, that is as ridiculous, all-consuming, and destructive to the whole world as Facebook, I think maybe we need to find a different escape route. I think maybe we need to find something else to do. When family arguments are aired in front of people, arguments between friends are aired in front of people, it all just becomes days of our lives. It's ridiculous. Putting it on display for other people. I've been there. And how does that happen? Because when your mind is focused in a certain environment, suddenly the reality of you being in that environment vanishes. You become all consumed. You are now communicating by typing at a relative or a friend or a stranger and abusing the shit out of them in front of other people. In regard to Facebook's engineering, let's have a look at how ridiculous it is compared to what normal people do in everyday life. Would you walk up to somebody in the street and interrupt their conversation just because you overheard the last part of it? No, you would not. No, you would not. And if you did, you'd be called a lunatic and thrown into a mental asylum if you kept that up. But there people are. There they are on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram doing it every damn day. Lunatic behaviour, psychotic behaviour, actually psychotic. Literally the definition of psychotic behaviour on Facebook, because everybody does it, which makes it seem normal. And they lose all bearings of what normal actually is. I mean, there's a better word than normal, but I think you know what I mean. Friendships have been destroyed, not because of the people who fought, but because of Facebook. And I can hear some of you thinking, yeah, but I'm aware of that. I don't get into that. Well, not everybody's like you. And I don't think that you're telling the truth. I think you have gotten into it. I think you have given an opinion. I think you have gotten into a fight in front of other people like a fucking crazy person. So let's cut the bullshit. Deleting Facebook is something that you do out of integrity. It's something you do out of self-respect. It's something you do to preserve the friendships that you do have. It's something you do to get your own mind back, unplugged from a sewer, from negativity. When I was on that network, it was for about 8 years. I lost my sense of creativity. I lost my sense of vision. I lost my sense of hope. I was exposed to negativity and assault on a regular basis. My nervous system started to clap out. I started suffering anxiety, and not realizing that it was the network. Looking everywhere but the network. Why? Because the network reprograms your brain to not point the finger at it. It's rewarding your brain for being there. It's rewarding you for being there and abusing you at the same time. It's like an abusive partner. There's jokes and taunts that people make on that network about women who didn't leave their abusive husband or their abusive boyfriend and how they're idiots for not leaving. Well, excuse me, Mr. Facebook, Mrs. Facebook, Mr. and Mrs. Smartphone with their Facebook app. How are you any different? You go to that network every day to witness abuse and cop abuse and take part in abuse, but you don't leave that abusive partner, do you? You want more. And technically that's worse. Or people on a network saying, free your mind, free speech, I'm intelligent, I have awareness, I'm testing yours. I mean, really, it's like you're asking to be laughed at. Yes, there are people out here who see straight through it, and I'm not the only one. If you go into your page coding for your Facebook account, somewhere in there you'll find coding for the UFI. It's an interface that you see at the bottom of your posts with emotions that you can click on: wow, happy, angry, sad, that sort of stuff. And the coding, the page coding, in the page coding section for that, there are some emotion emoticons that are shown, and there are others that are hidden. Why? Why are they hidden? They're in the coding, but you can't see them. Interesting, right? Why are they there if they're hidden? There's 4 of them that I think, and I'll touch on this again later when we look specifically at that, but there's 4 of them that were of particular interest to me when I was doing the research on their page coding and looking at the engineering and the impact that it has and what it had on me. One of them is Dorothy. It's actually called Dorothy. Another one is called Toto. Yes, hello, Wizard of Oz. Emoticons in a user interface for emotions where Dorothy is coded with numbers and a hashtag. And so is Toto. With numbers and a hashtag, they're hidden. Why? What's the Wizard of Oz got to do with anything? You know? How does that work? And you think about all the talk that there's been about the Wizard of Oz. I mean, for me, it's a brilliant film. But then you get a bit of an insight if you read around and see what people say about the Wizard of Oz and it being a psyop and all the rest of it. But, you know, that's another can of worms. But it's right there, Dorothy and Toto. Think about it. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. Just click your mouse 3 times. There's no place like home. And suddenly there you are in freaking Oz with flying monkeys and a wicked witch. And your friends, one of them has no brain, the other one has no heart, and the other one's a coward. Until they wake up and face the dude that's pulling this trick on them. And they realise. And it's as simple as that. So, you know, you either want to keep, you know, clicking your heels along the yellow brick road to the Federal Reserve, or you want to get out of there and wake up and actually live your life. The other two codes that are in the UFI are called plane, as in like an aeroplane or a plane, you know, PLANE, and flame, as in a flame, like a fire, flame, twin flame, fire flame, FLAME. They have numbers next to them, which are interesting. And the whole lot is bracketed with the number 911. Oh, it's just a coincidence. Why do the engineers choose that? Why are all these emotions in this user interface ordered in a particular way? Why are some shown and some hidden? Why is there Dorothy and Toto in there? Why is there flame and plane? Why are they hidden? Why is it all under 911? It's an emergency code. It's New York. And I'm not going to talk about what it is to get 911 right now in this video, but that's what's going to happen if you keep your Facebook account. You get 911 on a personal level, on an emotional level, on a mental level. on an intellectual level, your whole life gets 911. It might start with anxiety. It might start with panic attacks. It might start with a sudden drop in your self-esteem. It might start by you going off your food. It might start with psychotic behaviors. It might start with disturbed sleep. But eventually something's going to happen that 911's your whole life. It's usually an emotional impact. And in the worst case scenario, you get what I copped. You get shot through the head by the internet, thanks to a smartphone and the Facebook app. You get killed. So there it is. I'm happy to answer questions about that last part, and it's a whole other file, and I'm happy to talk about it. But the other aspect of Facebook and why you would delete it if you had honestly some real genuine authentic self-respect is and it's not cute to have no self-respect and go, yeah, I'm a degenerate, I don't have any self-respect. Can I get liked for that too? That's, just cancel yourself from the human race. It's not a position. It doesn't even rate. It has no merit. Don't do that. The other thing is how many data miners are accessing your data all the time. You don't even know them. You're literally providing information for other people to feed on and make money from. They're eating your brain. You're taking your intellectual content for their own purposes, exploiting it and making money from it, and you don't get a cent. Would you do that in real life? Would you go out there and offer yourself free? Even prostitutes don't. They get paid for it. So really, it's worse than being a prostitute. God bless prostitutes. They at least get paid. They at least demand payment. They make sure they get paid. But Facebookers are so addicted and brainwashed to be on the network. They don't care what gets done to them at all. They offer themselves up for it for free and find it sort of funny and rewarding. It's quite depressing when you think about it. And these data miners, there's one lot in particular which I'll focus on in another file and have touched on many times across the 500 files that I've already uploaded, showing evidence of the impact that their work has on the social media networks as a whole and the broader internet, and how they are an impetus behind you being 911. And I'll get into that another time. But that's another reason. It really is the most bizarre thing. At the outset, I understand why anyone would go to the network. It's not advertised to you up front, all the implications of the network or what goes on inside the network or how you're affected by the network. It's just, come on in, we're bringing the world closer together. I'm not even sure if that's a good idea at this point. Stay in touch with your family and friends. Already was. They create demand for things that we've already got and we're doing better than before they came along. That's Mark Zuckerberg. Wise guy. Thinks he had a good idea. Ends up killing kids in classrooms because of the way his app affects people's brain. And at the end of the day, all he has to do is be embarrassed for 4 seconds in front of Congress while he gets grilled by old men who don't know anything about Facebook. Or he gets to buy his way out. And apparently in America, if you pay a fine, it's okay. It's not a crime anymore if you pay a fine. Well, if you really want the list of what Mark Zuckerberg is responsible for and what his engineering team are responsible for, the damage that they have done, the number of lives they have ended, squashed, destroyed, the number of people that they have flat straight killed as a result of their network existing, they belong on death row. I hope that gives you some food for thought about whether or not you feel like deleting your Facebook account or not. No, you don't need it to make money. Find another way. Seriously. It's entirely possible. Facebook's not the only network. You know, there are a lot of ways to make money and survive in the world without being part of that. And nobody said that you needed it to do that anyway. It spread like a germ, like a viral delusion. So over 2 billion people are doing it. Kids from the third world are on that network. And they come on in their best shirt that's just been ironed, their best clean shirt from the third fucking world. And they feel special to be there. And within 4 seconds, they're getting data raped by American cronies who don't know how to survive without feeding on other people and paying them nothing for it. Kids from the third world, impoverished and hungry, feeling happy to be on Facebook so they can be part of something. Their naivety and their trust being thoroughly abused and exploited. Disgusting. So when you keep your Facebook account, you are being complicit with human rights atrocities. Complicit. And then telling yourself, oh, it's there, but I didn't agree to that. Well, guess what? Your opinion means jack shit when your actions speak otherwise. So, hey, to those of you that are sitting there nodding and agreeing with me and you don't have a Facebook account, I'm sorry for laying it thick at you through this video. But to those of you who are shifting in your seat and feeling a little awkward and uncomfortable because you know all of this is true, but you can't quite bring yourself to delete Facebook, get a grip. You will suffer as a result of being part of that network. You're suffering right now as a result of being part of that network. The quality of your life is being directly impacted by being part of that network, whether you use your account or not. The simple fact that you're in their system is enough. That's a topic for another time. So, yeah, I'm just trying to think if I've forgotten anything. There's a whole bunch of other reasons why you don't need Facebook, why it's bad for you. And I think it is obvious to everybody that it's just a huge psyop, Wizard of Oz, copper tornado in the brain, and try and run away from a wicked witch, or melt her or face her or get her off your back somehow, because she's just around the corner. She's there waiting. She wants your ruby slippers. And when you get to the end of the yellow brick road, you meet the wizard, who can't maintain his illusion without standing behind a curtain and pulling on knobs and buttons and pretending to be some huge god of a thing to terrify people into obeying him. And it's up to you to face that. wizard. And to realise that subjecting yourself to mass media to that degree, to negativity to that degree, to psychological warfare to that degree, to, you know, having your friends and family in your pocket all the time and everything that you do is their business. These are very awkward and uncomfortable scenarios that I really don't think you actually want to be part of. I think you go in there and you find out it's a bit worse than what you thought, but you just sort of adjust because everybody else is there. So you go along with it. It's not good enough anymore. Don't get 911, delete Facebook.